what's up? Red Panda Anthem. Red Panda, what's good? Let's get some social commentary before we leave. Elon Musk takes over Twitter, shows up with a sink, plans on firing a lot of people.
CFO, COO.
Dropped censorship immediately. First thing he did. So some people have said that have led to racism and racist things being said. 19 Keys said he's actually a proponent for it because freedom of speech.
For what exactly?
Freedom of speech. He said his Twitter's been more popping now than it ever was before.
Mine too, yeah. I would agree with that.
So how do you feel about this? How do you feel about what he's doing right now? And specifically about the, I guess you call it freedom of speech situation.
If he doesn't fix this quickly, Twitter will turn into the new 4chan.
They do what?
They'll turn into the new 4chan if they don't fix this. So,
what is there to fix? Like, explain. Some people might not be educated on exactly what's going on.
Should not be. There should not be a 500% increase in the use of N-word after you buy in 3 days.
Well, because you can say it now. That's why it's a 500% increase. Because I mean, that's easy. Like, if you let people say it, of course, there's a lot of racist people and there's a lot of stupid people. And then there's some people just going to do it just to do it because now you're allowed. So you're allowed to say the N-word with the ER at the end, like the hard ER. Were you allowed to say the A before or no?
Yeah, you can say the A.
Like you can say the A. You can always type. You could always say the A, right? But you couldn't say the ER, right?
Yeah, is that true? Yeah, no, it's true.
I mean, all these rappers, they always tweeting. I don't know this to be 100% factual. Yeah. If anybody's in the chat that has a direct answer, but I'm assuming that you could always tweet A, but you couldn't tweet ER.
Now there's but you are what you attract. So also too, and I know a lot of people like somebody even messaged me like, hey, how can you repost something about Elon and he's a racist? Man, I don't want to go down this deep dark hole, but if you're going to be honest, almost all of the big tech platforms have some sort of racism inside of the culture.
I mean, almost the whole entire world. So I think if that was the deciding factor, we wouldn't be alive.
I think he saw that and he actually tweeted about they're still going through the process of creating new guidelines for how Twitter's going to operate. What those guidelines will look like, no clue. But
the ER is crazy.
I think that was a response to it.
The ER is unnecessary. That's a fact. The A,
I mean, if he wanted to stop it immediately as quickly as he fired the CEO and CFO, he can stop it in one day.
Yeah.
And they're going to start reactivating accounts that they were once suspended. So that's going to be interesting too.
The ER is
draft pick number 1 will be who? Coming to the stage.
Our former
president.
Former president of the United States.
This will be a Royal Rumble.
I'm sure he's the first.
He's back lit. He's back lit. I mean, but freedom of speech is very, very tricky situation because like your favorite platform, TikTok, I hate them because they take it too far and their AI system isn't good enough. So they delete our post all the time. And it's not even nothing to do with anything, but it could just be something that like I'm saying, like that just is triggering something. And it's like, oh, this is inappropriate. I'm like, how is talking about a 30-year mortgage inappropriate? Like, you know what I'm saying? That happens to us all the time. And forget about trying to curse on TikTok. You can't say any curses. You can't play anything with curses in it at all. They're probably the most censored platform that I've ever seen. And that's a problem because it's like, all right, well, this is America and it's not illegal to curse. It's not illegal to so it's a thin line between.
Is it illegal to curse in China in public?
But that's the problem. We're not in China. We're in America. So when you have a Chinese company, and that's why I always said
population that uses it is here.
And that's why I always said I don't trust TikTok. The Chinese have a horrible human rights record. They have a horrible history of oppression and not having rights for their citizens. You can look it up. It's well documented. Long story short, how do we balance that? How do we balance it, right? How do we balance free speech and hate speech? Because hate speech is detrimental and it's not positive. So of course we don't want to promote neo-Nazis. We don't want to promote racism. But how do you balance that with, hate speech or with freedom of speech?
Also, too, people have to remember that there are a couple segments that are not protected by free speech. Defamation, fraud, and I predicted Kanye would get sued by the Floyd family. That is now true. Child pornography, fighting words, or threats. So just going off the incitement and the fighting words, because a racial slur technically is classified as fighting words. That's one main reason that should not be allowed on Twitter.
But even that, see, that's when you start going down a rabbit hole. Fighting words. That's 50% of rap artists at one point in time have threatened another person, another artist. Some have even went on Instagram Live with each other, and it's entertainment, it's banter. Their accounts never get shut down, and that's what Kanye was saying. That's what Ye was saying. I apologize for calling him Kanye. That's what Ye was saying, right? Where it's like, what is
another
hate speech?
One who won't listen?
What is, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you go on Apple Music, there's no shortage of songs talking about, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna do whatever to you when I see you, I'm gonna rob you. There's a song detailing how to rob a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Is that free speech? Is that, nobody's ever said that that's an issue. I've never heard anybody say that that's an issue.
People haven't been as vocal about it, but if you go back to even C. Dolores Tucker back in the day,
C. Dolores Tucker, that's a fact, but that was 25 years ago. I'm just saying, it's not like a public, some people have voiced their concerns about it, but I'm just saying, it's not something that the powers to be have ever said, this is inappropriate, we can't have this, so.
Yeah. Also with free speech, it doesn't give you the right to say whatever you want. I know everyone hasn't read that section, but it doesn't allow you to say whatever you want to on the street. And also, too, you have the right to free speech inside of your home, private establishments, or private clubs. It does not mean that you can say whatever you want to in the media or in public.
Yeah, I think there's a difference, right? Free speech and then there's speech that has consequence, right? And so, like, it's a fine line. It's a tricky line, right? Because, like you said, there are things that are being promoted and some things that won't be promoted by the people in charge. Like,
but the tech platforms aren't liable as well. So even with Parler, which Kanye kind of got baited into buying.
Is that official too? Is that officially done?
It's not done. I think it's still in the works.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would, homework assignment. Who ran Parler? What is their association with Candace Owens?
Isn't it her husband?
So now Candace backs away from, can we talk about finesse of the year? I'm going to stand with Kanye, me being Candace. He's going to wear the White Lives Matter. I get him in trouble. I'm sorry. I get him in trouble, and he changed his name legally so he wouldn't have to. So I will say that for another day. He wears the White Lives Matter. He gets in trouble. Candace loses nothing. Gets her documentary promoted. Kanye, buys in the Parler. Candace backs away from Ye. If that's not a finesse, I don't know what is.
Yo, your camera knew what time it was. It backed away from you.
It zoomed up.
That's one of the greatest finesse moves. That's some Brooklyn Bronx-ish right there. Like, Ye got lined up. I'm going to destroy your career and stand next to you, but now you buy into this tech platform that we couldn't get Elon and Trump to buy into. Now you bring value.
Yo, you've got your camera is super excited. It is zooming in and out on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man. It's interesting what's going on with that situation, to say the least.
Hold on, let me fix this.
Tough times right now for Ye, for sure.
Yeah,
tough time for my tech.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He has issued an apology.
I saw that.
To George Floyd's family.
Yeah,
and to Black people.
Yeah, I should apologize too after I got put on child support.
He
still got to pay.
Got to pay. But he was
He
very
got
vocal.
apologized before.
But after the apology, he reminded people of like when the tragedy happened.
No, it was during the apology. It was an Instagram post.
Instagram, yeah.
It was an Instagram post.
Yeah.
I believe it was George Floyd's. I don't want to say the wrong information, but from my understanding, it was the mother of George Floyd's child.
Correct.
If I'm wrong, I apologize, or somebody can correct me. But from my understanding, he had a picture of the mother of George Floyd's child and was saying how he was unhappy that he was being sued and how he gave $2 million and nobody else gave any money. And he he was there when the family needed him. And, when he said, like, they're doing a economic lynching of me, which is actually ironic because we had this conversation, but he said they're doing an economic lynching of me and they're bankrupting me socially, all of this stuff that he's going through. Bankruptcy. And he was like, now you're going to sue me for $250 million, pretty much saying like, that's not right. Like, it's not the right time to do that. And then he apologized to the family and he also apologized to the Black community. Oh no, man, it's an unfortunate situation all the way around. Like, everybody know how I feel about Kanye, but it's just some things are just better left to be unsaid. Even if you have good intentions, sometimes it's just not. It's just you have to be tasteful and you have to be thoughtful with your words, and it's just the ways to handle different things. So, it's a very unfortunate situation because nobody wins in that case, right? It's like now, they have to relive memories of their family getting, killed, murdered. He has to, deal with this on his end financially, see what happens with this lawsuit situation like that. So, and it could have been avoided, which is, one of the reasons why you have to have good counsel in your corner. Because we all can make mistakes. We all can say things that we don't need to say, and then we can kind of double down on them out of pride, out of ego, and then you just start spiraling out of control. So sometimes it's just best to not say anything, and then if you do say something that you're not supposed to say, just correct it early on, as opposed to doubling down, tripling down, and then trying to reverse engineer it on the back end, and now you have to go through legal lawsuits and all this different stuff of that nature. So it's a learning experience. I feel like Kanye's life is pretty much a learning experience, which is unfortunate, but the ups and downs, everything that he's been through, at the very least, it's on public display, so you can learn from it. No matter how you feel about it, what your take is, it's educational and you can learn from it. You can learn what to do. You can learn what not to do from watching other people. And he is a perfect example of somebody that you can watch and learn a lot from on both sides of the coin. So, that's my take on that whole situation. But it's an extremely unfortunate situation all across the board.
It's a good lesson to only speak when you know you are correct. Number 2, to remove ego out of the situation. And I can only imagine what he feels like, because anytime I've gotten attacked, I know how much it bothers me. Then, of course, Kyrie got drugged into it by proxy. Shout out to the good brother. But it's also the power of being quiet off of social media. I know a lot of people want that spotlight and the fame. There is risk that comes with that. So number 1, you cannot lie. So when he said that George Floyd died because of fentanyl, if he would have just read the actual autopsy, which would have taken him 5 minutes, he would have seen that that is not true. That's why I tell people, even when people make claims and say, I feel this way about even us. Now we haven't gone this route, but if that claim is not true, that is defamatory towards us and the brand. You could sue for that. And also in a recession, you have to be mindful that lawsuits go up 7x. When people are hurting, the game gets a little bit dirtier.
Yeah, we just saw that, right? With the Alex Jones trial, right?
Almost $1 billion.
Yeah, up to $1 billion in lawsuits.
For a lie.
Right. You gotta be careful.
This that Red Panda Anthem. Ian, what's up? This that Red Panda Anthem. Red Panda, what's good? Red Panda Anthem. Your boy going up. I know they can't stand it.